Good morning, everybody. I know we have a few attendees on the call already. Thank you all for joining the webinar today. Just as a heads up, I think for those of you who've not been on calls before, and for those of you who have been on calls before, just want to sort of do a little housekeeping and let you know that we're going to keep all the phones. Sometimes on the webinars we mute the participants, but on this webinar, because it's a learning collaborative and because we want to get feedback and have some discussion, everyone is unmuted, but I just want to give you some idea to orient you to the WebEx system. So if you haven't done so already, you can call into the webinar using the audio conference information that's found in the Event Info tab above the slide deck. So where it says Event Info, if you click on there, it'll give you the information to be able to call in to be able to participate in the call. And you'll be able to give us feedback and ask questions. So again, as you enter the call, you'll be unmuted by our host, Brianna, and we'll be able to have some good conversation. Also, just as a heads up though, when you do join the call, please be mindful of background noise. So if you're in a place that has a lot of background noise, please keep your phone muted and then unmute it when you want to share or if you have a question. And then if you have any technical issues with it, you can contact the host, chat with the host, who's Brianna, and you can find that chat box on the right side of your screen. So if you're having technical issues and you put a note in there, Brianna can try to troubleshoot that. And then if that doesn't appear, you can click on the dialog bubble on the top right toolbox and it'll pop up. So again, thanks for joining today, and we are going to get started right away because we have quite a bit to cover. So without too much more, I'm going to jump right in and go over our agenda because we have a pretty packed agenda. It might not look like it, but we do have a pretty packed agenda because we have a couple of presentations. So the agenda for today is, first, I'm just going to give you an overall update on the Key Learning Collaborative, the participation of sites, and some of the data that we've gotten back from you all on attendance and discontinuation to give you a sense of how things are going at many of our sites. And then we're going to have a couple of presentations from key sites who've been doing this, and there are a couple of sites that have been doing this and have gotten pretty far through the curriculum already. And so they agreed and volunteered to share their stories, and I'm so appreciative of them. Pedersen Craig is going to do a presentation. The staff from Pedersen Craig is going to do a presentation in Kids Oneida. And with Pedersen Craig, the Family Service League, who partners with Pedersen Craig, is going to also be giving some thoughts and insights on their experience doing some family engagement work around Key, which I think is a really nice piece for all to see. And then we'll have an opportunity for Q&A, and we can actually have that Q&A during the presentations if people have questions about the experiences of the staff at Pedersen Craig or Kids Oneida or the Family Service League. And then we're going to end with some discussion about future directions for Key. So that's our agenda for today. And as I said, I'm just going to jump right in and sort of go over a little bit about program participation. And this, just to give you an idea, this is more information that's important to us, but I think in the bigger picture of things, it's great to see the participation of so many sites. So just as a review, we had 44 agencies who applied to participate in Key, which was a very good number. And of that, we trained 42 sites. So that's about 95%, which is great as well. And then as we've gone on, about 29 sites have been able to implement the program, implement Key at various levels. And so, but of all those sites, 29 sites have something going on. And again, in some cases, there may be more going on than others, but it's pretty impressive that that many sites have been able to get Key groups up and going. And as I said, a lot of them also have been able to get it going at our our targets, which was, having 8 to 10 members in the group, a closed group, and running weekly. And then there's about 5 agencies that are still intending to start soon. I hope those agencies are on the call today, because you'll be able to learn from the experiences of the other sites that have implemented Key. And so hopefully, I really hope in many ways this call is for you, because you can sort of look and see how other sites have done it, implemented it, how they've done recruitment, and how they've managed the groups. And then there's 8 sites that still haven't been reached. They're kind of out there. They've been trained, but have not gotten started yet, and sort of I'm not sure where they're at. But that's a pretty good number. And then, so this is the attendance data. I want to thank everyone who sent in data. And again, if you weren't able to, that's okay. This was actually, I just wanted to get a snapshot. As we move forward towards the end of the project, if I can get your attendance data at some point, that would be very helpful. And then also for the sites who sent me their attendance data to date, if you can keep that up to date, because when at the end of the project, I'd like to get sort of the full attendance data. But a couple of things I want to mention about the attendance data. Number one is these numbers might not look, it's the average, that dotted line in the middle is 61%. So the average attendance across the sites is 61, and you can see it ranges from 35% attendance to 86% attendance. So a big range there. But one of the things I wanted to say was, I didn't fudge this data. So what I mean by that is I included in the attendance kids that looked like, or young people that looked like they had dropped out. So this includes kids who may have come for 2 sessions and did not come anymore, and includes kids, of course, who've been able to attend every session. So even though the number kind of looks low, the overall number of 61% looks kind of low, although, again, I think we can all, anyone who's run groups with young kids, and got 61% attendance at their groups with young kids, we all know, we consider that a great number, a nice win. But again, the numbers are actually a little better if I were to take out the kids who dropped out or only attended 1 or 2 sessions. So as I said, though, you could see the range there from sites that have been as low as 35 and as high as 86. And the 35, again, is one of those groups that I think had a little difficulty coming on, and kids were coming in almost on a sort of an ad hoc basis, on an irregular basis. Yeah. So that's the attendance data, and as I said, that looks pretty good, and that's for the 12 sites that submitted data to me. There are more, and these numbers might change depending on how other sites are doing. And as I said, hopefully you'll keep that data coming, if not now, as we move closer towards the end of the project. And then discontinuation, so these are the kids who've dropped out or who've left the group. And again, the average number across sites of kids who've left the group is around 2.6. 3 kids per group generally been dropping out. And these are some of the reasons they've dropped out that have been noted. I highlighted here the did not meet needs, that kids who've dropped out because they felt that Key didn't meet their needs. And as far as what's been reported to me, and again, there may be more out there in terms of people who haven't given me data yet, but I thought that was pretty telling, that only 2 kids dropped out because they felt Key wasn't meeting a need of theirs. Or at least, again, that's what was reported to me from the site. So there may be more, but I thought that was pretty impressive. And then, as you can see, some of the other reasons that kids drop out or leave the group is being discharged from the agency, including moving or quitting. So that's the only data I'm going to present, and I'll talk a little bit more about performance indicators and data later. But I just want to stop there and see any questions about the data or. Okay. Well, once again, for those of you who sent data, thank you. And again, for those of you who haven't, please send them when you can, and that would be great. So, to move on, let's see. So to begin, this is I wanted to start the presentations now and give some sites an opportunity. So as I think mentioned in the announcement, we were looking for sites to volunteer to present, and a couple of sites have. I'd like to start with one site that did, and it was kind of nice to get a couple of sites that were doing a little bit different. One is a site that's doing community-based dissemination. Basically, they're in the community, they're a community-based program. They work with young people in the community, and then and that's Kids Oneida. And then Pettigrew Craig has been doing work with kind of a blended program of kids in their outpatient program as well as kids from their residential program. And so they're going to present a little bit on their experience doing it with some residential kids and some community kids. So the Kids Oneida story, I'd like to just check in and see if Tiffany and Brittany are on.
Yep, we're here.
Wonderful. So so I just want to introduce Tiffany Lavella and Brittany Philbrook. And Brittany, Tiffany, I don't know if Nadia is on as well, or Kristen?
I'm here. Kristen's here. Nadia's on vacation.
Okay, great. So, and Kristen Rasmussen. So thank you all, and I turn it over to you. And also just let me know when you want me to bring in some of the other materials that you shared.
Alrighty.
Okay.
Hi, this is Tiffany. I'm just going to give you guys a quick overview. We, like Jim said, we're a community-based agency. We do wraparound services for kids in Oneida County. We have 3 facilitators to our group. It's me, Brittany, and Nadia, and Kristen oversees us. We began with 11 kids in our group when we started back in April, and currently we have 9. We've been struggling a little the last few weeks because of summer. A lot of our kids are either in summer school or have jobs, so we've had to change the time, but it's been pretty consistent. As it says for transportation, we have a provider network that we've been pulling from to help us with transportation. So we go back and forth. One week we'll have 2 male providers, and the next we'll have 2 females. The providers actually stay with us during group, so we have that additional staffing to help the kids and to kind of keep some of them on task. Since we work with teams, since we're a team-based approach, at the end of every group, we'll send a key-specific weekly update to the kids' teams, to their coordinators, who will then disseminate that information to their therapists, their behavior managers, and the rest of their teams, so that way we keep it consistent, and the kids can reinforce the things they've been taught in group with the rest of their team members. And we can go over how we do our groups. We always try to start off with either highs and lows or our bright spot, thought, and feeling cards, which are really cool. It really helps give us insight into what the kids are feeling, how they're doing that day. Sometimes we'll kind of tangent and talk about something that really matters to them. I think it also helps them because we've had them tell us things that were pretty personal, and it really helps to have the other kids say, you know, you're not the only one going through that. I've had something similar happen to me. It's really helped them all come out of their shells. But we also allow everyone to get a pass if they don't feel like sharing that day. We also use a lot of PowerPoint, and we have a large Post-it board that we like to use, and then every week we will take the Post-its and the posters and we'll hang them back up so that the kids can review them. We have our group rules on there. We try to do like 2 or 3 posters a week. And it also kind of brightens up the space that we have our group in. It's a very, very large conference room, so it helps make it feel a little bit more comfortable, a little more warm and welcoming. The PowerPoints, we try to make them fun. We really try to engage the kids with them. Another way that we try to engage our kids is by having guest speakers. Next week, we're going to have someone from Planned Parenthood come in and speak to the kids as we're just finishing up Lesson 8. And then at the end of every unit, we try to do something. At the end of the first unit, we had a pizza party, and we presented the kids with strength certificates. We spoke with their team members and their family members and got them to identify some of the strengths they believed that the kids had. And then we presented them to the kids. really, a lot of the kids struggle to present their own strengths, so I think it really helped, and they really seem to enjoy it. At the end of this unit, we're going to play Jeopardy, and we're going to pass around paper to have the kids identify each other's strengths. Now that they've gotten to know each other, they've gotten comfortable, and we saw how good they were at this because one of our kids who's dropped out actually left because she moved to North Carolina, and the kids presented her with a notebook, and they filled the first few pages with some of her strengths and something they'd miss about her. So that kind of gave us the idea to have them do that for each other. And it would give them something tangible that they could then carry with them with things that other people think are great about them. That's pretty much our story.
It's a great story. So you know what? I want to just take a moment to just show you a couple. So I think Tiffany was mentioning about their key check-in. So this is their check-in sheet. Am I right about that, Tiffany, Brittany? So this is their summary. Yeah.
This is our summary, but then we will send out separate, not with all the kids' information on it. We don't send this out to the coordinators. We send individual emails to the coordinators just to give them an update about what we talked about, how their client was in group, and if they have any concerns, or if we have any concerns.
And this was another piece that you had sent around. I think this is related to your check-ins.
Yeah, this is what we did really early on, just to kind of get to know them a little bit better. And we do provide them with snacks. So we don't buy Twix, but we buy a lot of Goldfish. And we did the confidence level because we really wanted to bring that back at the end of the group and see where we're at. And I think in the key book they have there's like a self-confidence check-in, and we make copies of that too, just to kind of look at some outcomes to see if those things are changing.
Great. And then again, as Tiffany and Brittany were presenting, I shared a little bit of their slides, the slides that they use with the young kids. So you saw some of those as well. I think I showed some week 2 slides. These are some slides from week 3 that they use to introduce the topic and to cover the information. So let's, is there anything else you wanted to share before we open it up to some questions?
Nope, I don't think so.
Okay, great. So anyone else on the call? I know we have a lot of other participants. Mics are open, hopefully. So does anyone have any questions for the folks from Kids Oneida?
You must have done a really good job presenting.
Yeah. The other thing, let me just make sure there's no chats coming in. Okay. The other thing, so and I put on this, the websites, so I think they have, with the Jeopardy game, I've actually used it with kids too, with some groups as well when we're presenting information. So the website's there. If you can use it, it's kind of a neat website where you can create these Jeopardy games. So it's kind of like a fun thing to do when there's kind of information involved and you're kind of doing either providing straight information or doing kind of myths and facts about stuff. And then the bright spots, thoughts, and feelings materials are there as well. Those are the websites. For those of you who are on the call, all of the presentations that you're seeing, the PowerPoint presentations and the materials that are out there are going to be uploaded to our website. So they'll be available there for you all to look at if you want to sort of take a look at them and use them.
Yeah, those are the things. We do Jeopardy, but we have anything else.
Okay. All right. Well, we will move on. So the next group that will be presenting are the folks from Pettis and Craig. And as I said, they're doing a kind of a combination. I'll let them explain a little bit more. Well, I'll go through it, and then let me just check in and see. Monique and Deanna, are you on the call?
Hi, good afternoon.
Okay, great. Oh, and Anne-Marie, because I know this is a little combined. Okay, great.
Hi, Jen, how are you?
Hi, Anne-Marie. So Deanna, and let me get your slides up here. So Deanna and Monique run the group with the young people, and Anne-Marie Knox is from the Family Service League, and she's been doing some work on family engagement and has put some material together, and she's going to talk a little bit about family engagement. And so, Deanna and Monique, do you want me to go through the slides and then I'll turn it back to you, or do you want to go over the slides?
Sure, yeah. We can go through them if you'd like us to.
Okay, great. So, with that said, and I just want to mention Charles is not here today, but of course Deanna and Monique are. So, Deanna, Monique, the mic is yours.
Thank you. So our youth comes from our programs, which are made up of 2 community and home-based programs and 1 residential program. The bulk of our youth attend our Tidal Wave Youth Leadership Association group, which we run actually every Monday. So it's a weekly leadership group. So all of our youth we recruited through WAVE. So they all kind of knew each other, which was great going into it. They all felt very comfortable with each other. All of our youth, we made sure that they were between the ages of 15 and 17, so we pulled our older WAVE youth. We really just asked them, you know, if they were interested as far as being eligible, you know, if they had an interest in learning these additional skills. WAVE is a leadership group, so a lot of them do possess those leadership skills. They were all very interested in kind of learning additional skills that they could use. The youth initial engagement, like I said, we just kind of asked which youth would be interested. The first couple of meetings, because our youth did know each other, we kind of had a little bit of a head start on a couple of those meetings, getting to know each other. Key, though, was different for them in the sense that where WAVE is focused on really building those leadership skills, Key touched on some very personal stuff for them, so we really tried to make the environment as comfortable as possible. Every week we bring dinner to the meeting. We really try to make it a really engaging space for them.
That was part of their buy-in, with having meals and different things provided.
Every week we'd ask them, you know, what would you like for dinner, and we even as far as, you know, how would you like the room set up? So we really tried to make it a very comfortable and welcoming space for them, so they felt like when they were walking in, they really had ownership of what was going on. Next slide, please. Thank you. We hold Key right before WAVE, which was, I think, the best fit for us because, like I said, our youth are coming to WAVE, so holding it before WAVE was great because they would be there anyway, which I think on different days would make it more difficult for our youth to attend. So just having it on that day worked for us. And as far as transportation, we do have providers that work with all of our youth, so that, in addition, made it very easy for our youth to be able to get to our site. The bulk of our youth are brought by our providers, so there was never an issue with transportation. Our groups typically run 45 minutes to an hour, and like I said, we provide dinner for them. Me, Charlie, and Monique, we really sat down and went through the entire Key workbook to see what our youth would, you know, respond to, what we could maybe add. We really planned, you know, the food, the timing, staffing, the prizes even, to make sure that it would work for the youth in our program. We meet every section, well, before every section, to really go through and see what could we bring to it, what would work for our youth, if we need to add other activities that would tie into the lesson that week.
Okay. We've actually been working with our recreational counselors so that they know what's going on in our key groups and can possibly implement that into the community residents, such as by having maybe movies that relate to friendship, relationships, and such, so that it ties in and can be worked on over the week.
Okay, now I know that for the beginning lessons, like I said, with getting the youth to buy in, we made a couple of adjustments just to get them really hooked on Key. In the beginning, just like introducing Key, we really, me, Charlie, and Monique brought in a lot of hands-on activities that we thought would really kind of get the youth to get to know each other on like a deeper level. So we really included a lot of stuff that weren't necessarily in the Key book to kind of be creative and get them really excited for what we would be doing down the line. As far as handling individual youth issues, a lot of times, you know, the topics that are coming up really, you know, striking them something that maybe has happened within their personal life or their family life. So we always, at the start of each meeting, say, you know, if something comes up and you need to take a break, if you need to step outside the room for a second, or if you need one of us to kind of, you know, clarify something for you, we make sure that they're comfortable, because the more comfortable they are, the more, you know, productive the meeting is and the better the results that we've been seeing. When their comfort level is really, you know, when they're comfortable with speaking and they're comfortable with sharing.
We've noticed, though, because it's summertime, we're having some issues with the attendance. A lot of boys are going home with their families and, you know, aren't able to attend as they were. So we're thinking about possibly doubling up on certain weeks so that a lot of the youth aren't missing things. And that's kind of like what we're trying to work out at this point in time.
And as far as our new and discharged youth, because we do have so many providers working with our youth, we do kind of have the advantage of, if a new youth starts, we can kind of run through all of the lessons that they may have not, you know, been to before starting. So we are able to sit down with them and start from the very beginning and provide them with the whole Key curriculum up into where our group is. And I believe right now we're up to week 11, and we actually this Monday have a new youth starting. So I've been working with her on like an individual basis, kind of going over everything that all of the other youth have already learned. So when she gets there on Monday, she feels like she's, you know, at the same part that all the other youth are.
Deanna and
yes,
and Monique, just a quick question. I had a couple of questions about this, and it has to do with the check-ins, especially. So I know there was some debate in terms of develop.
Did his mom in Brooklyn, right? In the past, before he came here, it was okay with Grandma. Yeah.
Hello. I'm sorry. I think somebody might be unmuted. But Deanna and Monique, just a question that I had was, with the check-ins, I know, I think, Monique, you gave me one example of how that really helped in a group. So I wanted to know if you could share that example. But the other question I had was, I know sometimes when people do those check-ins, they sort of sometimes get a little bit concerned because it kind of opens things up and can take groups in the other direction, a different direction for that day. And I wanted to know if you can speak to that as well.
Can you just clarify that for me? I think when we spoke about one of the youth, when we brought up the lesson as far as families, they kind of said, you know, I need to step back from this, and we're able to leave the group and meet with one of us individually to talk, you know, briefly just about their comfortability. So I think we're pretty much in tune that way.
Right.
And are able to step in and interject if a youth needs some time.
And we have enough staff within the room that if that does happen, we are able to kind of continue without really stopping the meeting, which has, you know, been really helpful.
Okay, great.
We're able to like take that one youth outside, talk with them, make sure they're comfortable, bring them back in without kind of any interruption to the group at large.
Great. Okay, and next slide.
So some examples of just other things that we brought in. We kind of found that for the first section, which was the introduction, that we had to add a little bit just to really keep our kids engaged. But we really found that like going forward, they really, I mean, especially starting with the relationship section, that really captured their attention. We found that we've actually had to bring in less activities, and it was just, you know, discussion. Yeah, they really, you know, like I said, they've really been captured by the discussions, and the bulk of the meeting has just been them sharing, you know, their own stories, sharing what they've been through, which has been, you know, great for the other peers and great for some peer support within the group.
Right. And it's funny, when I saw this slide, it made me think that first bullet, that it's not all these activities, these additional activities that you've done every week, but it sounds like you've needed a few of them to add on. And it makes me think that I know for all of you during the training, one of the things that I tried to stress, or we tried to stress about Key, is that we wanted to make it as much as possible a book that you didn't have to do a lot extra for. And so I do note that that it seems like you've put a lot of extra effort, but that first bullet to me kind of stood out because it sounds like a lot of the material stands alone on its own, and you've had to do some things that, you know, some sections. Yeah.
And a lot of it has just really been feedback from the kids. I mean, like I said, they're all in a leadership group, so they all are very well-versed in advocating for what they like and their needs. So a lot of it just going, you know, having the first meeting and just saying, you know, having them say, well, we want to do more of this, we want to do more of that. A lot of it really has come from them, and they've really made it their own key group, which I think is important. I mean, now that we're really getting into, you know, further into the lessons, we've found that they really like just to sit and discuss everything and bring their own personal stories. So we really haven't been putting in as much of those planned activities as we were in the beginning, because it seems in the beginning they really wanted to be more engaged with those activities and they were liking them. But now that we're talking about health and relationships, they have so much to bring to the table. So
it can also be that they're more comfortable with the group and the other members, that they're, you know, sharing more.
Yeah.
Okay. And Deanna and Monique have a few examples of some of the activities that they've used as well. So we can go through these quickly. I want to point out to folks again, as I said before, that all of these slides are available on the website. So Deanna and Monique are going to kind of go through these activities quickly, and then folks can follow up and look at them in more detail. Yeah.
The GLAD game was just kind of our version of Family Feud. We had 2 teams, buzzers, and we asked them to kind of turn situations into, like, you know, a negative situation into a positive situation. That we did in the beginning again, and that was just, you know, helpful for, you know, getting them to interact with each other and kind of making the first couple of weeks really interactive and fun. People bingo.
I just want to say I also appreciate the fact that you all put in there the specific sections or lessons that this was appropriate for, so I really appreciate that as well. So again, for those of you who are looking at this, you know, they use this as part of the understanding positive and negative thinking section.
This was used during our Welcome to Key lesson. This is People Bingo. This was another great activity for getting them to get up and kind of interact with each other. We each gave them a sheet, and they had to go around and had to ask different members of the group, you know, who has an April birthday, who's left-handed, and had to get like a signature from each member as a way to kind of get to know more about each other. So that was a really good icebreaker that we found worked very well. The Me commercial was really a focus on their strengths. A lot of them are of the age where they're applying to jobs, where they're getting their working papers. So we really focused on, teaching them how to learn how to sell themselves, as far as interviews. What are your strengths? What would you tell a potential employer? And we had them work in a group, and they created a commercial that focused solely on their strengths. This one was, I think, one of my favorites. It went over so well. This is the self-esteem bucket. We used a cardboard bucket, and we read like a little story in the beginning about, does your self-esteem bucket has holes? Which basically is everyone's bucket is full to the brim with water when you start out in life. And then throughout life, things that, tear down your self-esteem, put a hole in your bucket, releasing the water. So we had each one of them go around, we had the bucket, and they would put a hole in the bucket, and they would say to the group something that happened within their lives that has torn down their self-esteem. So the bucket went around, me, Charlie, and myself, we all said something, and then when it started from the beginning again, we gave them masking tape, and we had them write on the masking tape something in their life that they feel builds up their self-esteem. And then kind of symbolically, they each cover the hole with the masking tape. And we all did that and then went around. And it was such a good visual, and, they were so into it. And then each week we've kept that bucket, and we've placed it on our sign-in table, and we've asked them to write down things, throughout their weeks, throughout their months, that has helped to build up their self-esteem bucket as well. So that's been really continuing throughout all of our key lessons.
So far we have about 11 to 13 youth that attend. As previously stated, we have had very few discontinuations, and they're, attending each week and seem to enjoy the lesson and are working well together.
Great. So we're going to change directions, but I want to stop there again and check in to see if anybody has any questions at this point, and then we're going to shift to family engagement. But any questions for Deanna, Monique?
Great job.
Hi, guys. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, I just wanted to say what a great job, both programs, and I really like how creative Pedersen Craig has been.
Oh, I'm sorry, who was that was sharing?
Deborah Bagley.
Great. It's great. And actually, Deborah, we'll talk about the Family Service League in a second as well.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay.
Janet,
so we yeah. I'm sorry.
Will you be sharing these slides with us?
Yes. Yeah, okay. So all of the slides, anything that you see on this webinar today is already loaded onto the CTAC website. And, just in case, I'll review how you can access the CTAC website, and I'm sorry, the key website on CTAC. But I'll make sure I'll review that with everyone.
Excellent.
But all everything we have on here is going to be available to everyone. Really wonderful stuff, amazing stuff. Again, thank you, Kids Oneida. Thank you, Pedersen Craig. And now we're going to switch to family engagement. Again, the Family Service League has been partnering with Pedersen Craig and doing some family engagement. And this was, I thought, a great addition to this webinar because it's kind of looking outside the box and looking at family engagement as well. So, Anne-Marie, Deborah, the mic is yours.
Okay, Jim, when I attended the training, this is Anne-Marie speaking, when I attended the training, the one thing I realized is that the family engagement part wasn't addressed at the moment, and that's what I deal with. So I said, this is such an important thing because these are lessons that parents themselves would normally be instilling in their children if they weren't in the residential program, if they weren't in the residential setting. So if you want to bring up the slide that initiates, shows what, it outlines the expectations of the parents' role in the program, which is the next slide. Is that the one? Let's see. There's a slide that shows.
The slide. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. The slide.
It's before the one before that. That's okay. I'll just describe it. Basically, what it is to let the parents know that it's not that their son or daughter is going to be in this program, but in order for it to be a success, that their involvement is really, helpful and really expected as their parents. So we're asking them to realize that there is a 20-week commitment. Obviously, if there's discharges or interruptions, sometimes that's not possible, but we do try to make them realize that, if a child discharges, will you be able to continue transporting them? It's a very important program, just to get their feedback and see if we can at least get that initial commitment to try to continue throughout the whole program. Review that they're going to be receiving weekly mailing that explains each current topic for that week. Ask them to review it so that they know what's going on each week. It encourages them to participate in weekly focus groups via a conference call, and also to reinforce the lessons during family time with their child when they come home on the weekends, or now in the summer they're home more. So, do you have a slide of the weekly mailing? Like week 2? Yeah. The one that says like week 2 or week...
Yep. Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry, that's week 2 slides. Hold on. Here we go. Sorry. There we go.
That's okay. That's okay. This is basically, it's a 2-sided thing, but it basically just tells them the topic that's being discussed. It tells them an outline of what's going on. It has a quote from the workbook. And then on the back, I usually have suggestions for conversation starters, so it's more natural, so that the children don't feel like the parents are just preaching to them based on what the key topic was that week. I suggest movies or websites that might be helpful during family time, and I really stress on them all the time because, many of them have movie nights and stuff, and almost every topics discussed in the key program has a movie out there that, since it's relationships and things like that. I even pointed out one time Grumpy Old Men. I mean, it's a lifelong relationship, but they fight the whole time, but when they cross the line, they recognize why they crossed the line, and there's just so many friendship lessons in that movie that I made that as a strong suggestion as well. Whether it's a dated movie and the kids wouldn't be involved, into it, I'm not sure, but I was just giving the parents some suggestions. If you want to go to the next one, the weekly focus group.
Oh, okay.
Basically, throughout the program, I encourage the parents to call in on the same night that the children are there for the WAVE and the KEY program. And they call in and they participate in a conference call, and we talk about the key topic of the week. They can ask questions. They let us know how successful they've been with integrating it into family time. They can make suggestions for improvement. Parents are able to, if they can't partake in the weekly call or aren't willing, we still reach out to them either by phone or email and try to request some feedback, just to try to, keep them involved and show that they're expected to be involved in order to help their child benefit from the program. In addition, we provide we don't provide it, but we kind of keep a weekly progress report where the parents are updated on the youth's progress. I can communicate with the people who are facilitating it, Monique and Charlie and Deanna. They let me know, just like the child that stepped out because of the topic on family. Then when I was in the home meeting with the parents, I explained that was a topic that was sensitive to the child, and then we were able to discuss it, and we were able to come up with a plan of maybe how to address that situation, and then also incorporate in the next family support group where maybe we could address it. And so there's like a whole tie-in based on just from the KEY program, and with everybody being connected to one another and communicating well with one another, we're able to bring it back home to the parents and let them know what's going on and hopefully address any issues that do come up. So, the last question, what's that?
No, I'm sorry. Let me go back to, okay, here we go.
I'm sorry. I think I'm throwing you all over with the slides. I apologize.
No, it's okay. And actually, no, I apologize because I wasn't sure which materials, but again, all the materials are on there. All these materials are on there, but I think Anne Marie was referring to, if you want to just review, or Anne Marie, this is what you use the first week.
That particular one, yes, is the first week. It's an outline, the 6 major goals of the key program. It pretty much tells the parents of, you know, what the program is all about and what their child can gain from the program. But there's also, we speak to them about what their role is and how we expect them to, well, we don't say expect, but, yeah, encourage them to participate as well.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so there's, again, all of these are on the website, will be on the website if folks want to sort of integrate this into their work.
Right, and then the final slide would just be once we conclude, there'll be a final conference call with the parents, and I'm not sure if you have the slide as far as that was in the parent guide that I sent you, that a survey that we complete with the parents just to see about their child's experience with the program. If you don't, it's fine. It's pretty much just a brief.
No, that one I don't think I have. But if you want to send it to me, I can upload it.
Yeah, it's basically just to find out what the parents feel their child's experience was, and if there's any improvements they think that could be made to the program.
Great. And then this slide, again, this is for Pedersen, Craig, and the Family Service League, and these were just some of the points where they're going to go next. And I don't, Deanna and Monique, I don't know if you want to review these. And we...
Well, I know going forward with our key group, we plan to restart from the very beginning in October. I think like mid-October, that's when we'll complete all 21 weeks. We've got a lot of, positive feedback from the kids. We found that it's really helping them to find their own voices and become open and comfortable speaking about topics that, they really maybe not have been so open with before. We've seen nothing but positive things from doing this group. I know it's really, really impacted in a very positive way all of our youth.
Great. So let's I want to stop there because we have some time left. I did want to just once again thank you all, Kids Oneida and Pedersen Craig and the Family Service League, for presenting and sharing your experiences with this. And it's great to see the effort that you've put in and how successful KEY has been. And I hope that the information, and I think this is the wonderful thing about a learning collaborative, is that you do get to share with each other, and sites might be in different places in terms of their implementation, but sharing and being able to exchange information about the implementation is critical. So I wanted to take some time for a check-in, but also, again, open it up to any questions that anyone has for any of our presenters today.
This is Danielle from Federation Pros. I don't have any questions, but, we have a small group right now, and on average we have maybe about 4 people attending at once. But some of the things that were presented were definitely great reinforcers of what we can be doing and just giving new ideas. They do a lot of talking and they are engaged in talking, but I think that if we use some more of what, actual activities, they'd be more receptive.
Right. And thanks for sharing, Daniel. And I think, it goes back, a lot of the stuff that we're learning and that we're getting, I think we're going to try to integrate in the next version of the workbook. So it's actually giving us a lot of thoughts about, what can we do to improve the product. But I'm glad you're picking up some things that you feel might help. Any other sort of questions, comments, feedback? in terms of supports needed, so as I mentioned, for all of you, Danielle and everyone else who's sort of thinking about ways, as I said already, I know I've said it a few times, all of the material that was presented today is going to be on our website, so you can check in there and take what you need from there. And does anyone else have updates on how they're doing with their groups that they'd like to share? And I almost forgot, there was one specific question that I had on the announcements for the program. One of the things that I was curious about, and I wasn't able to find someone, so I think it's an area that still needs some work, is the idea of action steps and goal setting. So I just want to put out a general question right now. Anyone on the call from any of the sites can share any experiences they have with Key and their groups and the young people in your groups around action stepping and goal setting. And I say that because I think it's a critical piece that we kind of try to put out there for Key, but anyone having success with that or making any inroads? Well, I know there's a silence, and unfortunately on a webinar we can't do like therapeutically and sort of be okay with silence for a while. So what I will say though is I think that this is a topic that we'll have to come back and look at by the end of the project to see, you know, what we can do in this area in terms of getting kids to think about it. Okay, so just a couple of things. Again, just in case you don't have it, there's the link, the information on the link to the website if you want to jot it down while you have it and while it's up. And then, again, on there, you'll see all the slides and materials from today's webinar, the webinar recordings. So also, you know, if someone wasn't able to attend today's webinar, a recording would be available of it, as well as recordings from prior webinars. Again, all of our materials, the PDF of the workbook. So I've gone over this before. These are all the things that are available on the Key website. And then the performance indicators. Again, as I mentioned before, these are some of the things that for those of you, for this webinar today, I was kind of trying to get the attendance and discontinuation data that I reviewed earlier. Again, if you haven't already sent it to me, it would be great if you could send it to me via fax or email, the attendance and discontinuation forms. And then also I just want to put a plug in there for trying to get from the young people the helpfulness scale, and get them to complete those so that we can have that additional data in the end. What we're going to do is in October, when we have our final webinar and kind of our wrap-up webinar, I would like to be able to share as much information as we have available on Key and the implementation of Key and the performance of Key at the various sites. So again, I'll be looking for many emails from me as we approach October. That's way down the road, but for additional information. And let me see. So coming up in Key, from August, in August we'll have our regularly scheduled monthly calls for check-ins and see how sites are doing. We'll have calls in August and September. And then stay tuned beyond that. We'll see if we'll have, I believe, the final webinar in October. And then we'll kind of be wrapped in November. So at the next sort of project-wide webinar in October, we'll get additional data and information about how the project's been going. And that's it. Thank you all for attending. Again, any final thoughts or questions or comments?
Thank you, Jim.
No, thank you.
Again, thank you all for attending. Again, thank you Pedersen Craig, Family Service League, Kids Oneida, for your presentations and for sharing and being so open with everyone and giving everyone an insight into, how the groups are going at your site. And we'll talk again in a month.
All right, take care.
Take care, everyone.
Have a good weekend.